only show that's 3 dimensions away from Obi-Wan being a movie. I'm your host, 3D Jake, and today we're on our special feature presentation. We are looking at Obi-Wan Kenobi, a Star Wars story. Essentially, Obi-Wan Kenobi is a TV show that is like, I think, 6 episodes long, but it feels almost like a 6-hour movie because it doesn't really feel like the narrative of a TV show. It feels more like a movie that was split into episodes for a TV show for streaming purposes. Like, I really like Star Wars when they do shows. Mandalorian is supposed to be a TV show. It feels like a TV show. Obi-Wan does not feel like a TV show. Obi-Wan feels like a movie that was split into episodes for a TV show. And I think that's what kind of sucked because I think if this was a movie, this could have been a more well-paced movie, but I really enjoy this as a Star Wars story, period. I do get to, and I enjoy that we get to watch it for a couple of weeks rather than just watch it one day. You see it in theaters and then it's out. All right, forgot about it. So basically, Obi-Wan Kenobi is directed by Deborah Chow, who directed several episodes of The Mandalorian, and she is a fantastic director. She also directed a movie that I used to like that would come on Lifetime called Flowers in the Attic. Yes, I used to like Lifetime. It's a long time ago. And his episodes are written by Joby Harold, who also worked, ironically, with Hayden Christensen in a movie who he written and directed called Awake. So he also wrote Army of the Dead with Zack Snyder. And also it's written by Stuart Beadle, who worked on G.I. Joe, Rise of Cobra, and he worked on the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie. So he helped create Jack Sparrow into the character we all know and love. And it's also written by Hazan Amin. I don't really know what he worked on, but I know that his script, this is like, he's basically the end credit of this because he had written originally a completely different idea of stories, and it wasn't until Dave Filoni and and John Favreau read the scripts and were like, because they were friends with Deborah Chow because they worked on The Mandalorian with her, and they were like, you should make the focus Vader and Anakin, and get rid of this third party conflict, because originally Vader was not really in the show at all, like he wasn't, and so basically it wasn't until Dave Filoni read the script and I was like, it should be Vader should be in the script instead of this character, and so they kind of rewrote the scripts and then included Vader and got rid of Darth Maul, who originally that was rumored to be the main villain instead of Vader was Maul. In which I think that could work if they do a season 2, have Maul in there. But at the same time, you can't really rate canon because you still have the iconic fight scene between him and Maul and Rebels. So it kind of feels like I don't think they're going to touch Maul. I think that's just gone for good. But I would love to revisit it if we get an Obi-Wan season 2. The show once again stars Ewan McGregor, Hayden Christensen, Moses Ingram, Vivian Lynn Blair, Rupert Fiend, Indira Verman, and Joel Edgerton. This story is essentially, set about 10 years after the events of Revenge of the Sith. And it's about Obi-Wan, who's trying to blend in with not trying to get captured by the Inquisitors, since the Empire, which is Return to the Republic, which is now turned into the Empire, is now sending out Inquisitors, which were originally Jedi, to hunt down, evil Jedi, essentially, or hunt down all last remaining Jedi and kill them off, because the ones essentially they figured out that Obi-Wan sent that warning sign, warning all the people to stay away from the Jedi Temple, so they couldn't kill all of them. And essentially they're out there just to hunt the remaining Jedi left. And essentially Obi-Wan is just in there hiding and buried his lightsaber in the sand, deep in the sand, and so he's like just trying to make it light, doesn't use the Force. And he's basically a hermit that just sits there, lives in a cave, and the only thing his sole purpose is keeping Luke safe. He also works, which, by the way, I always thought about it. If you're trying to work, keep Luke safe, when you want to be watching him 24/7, because you go to work. So essentially, between the time you go to work and the time you come back, they have enough time to kill Luke. I'm just saying, what is that up with that, and also, you don't always sit there 24/7 to keep an eye on him. I mean, unless I think he basically have, the Force. He's force watching him, so essentially if something happens to Luke, he knows, and so I think that's maybe why, essentially that's my best explanation. I do like this show. I am a big fan of the show. I know a lot of people had mixed feelings about the show. Some people really liked the show. Some people felt like it was just 2 different shows. I felt like they were trying to make an Obi-Wan show and an Inquisitor show to shove it into one. I feel like this show is evenly paced to me. This is my personal opinion. I really like the show. I'm a huge fan of Star Wars. Always have been. I really like the show, but the thing is, I do think I understand the problems, but I can look past the problems because I really enjoy it as a story itself. For instance, I showed my mother, all Star Wars movies, all the original 8 movies, the original, 3 trilogies. I showed her those 3 trilogies, and I showed her this show because I really think this fits perfectly into the George Lucas's mythology. If you put literally, we did this order: 1, 2, 3, Obi-Wan, Rogue One, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I felt like that really there fits in there perfectly with, because it feels like this explains better. And my mother was watching it, she goes, Obi-Wan's a shitty, shitty person at finishing the job, because literally he's had 3 chances to kill Darth Vader and he's never once killed him. He's literally like the worst person. Every time he's ready, like Darth Vader is always down and out for the count. He's just like, all right, I'm not even gonna worry about it. Like every time he kills somebody, you're responsible because you've had 3 chances to kill him. 3. And you've literally not taken any one of the chances. It's literally like he burned up on Mustafar, didn't kill him. Then you right there, you had him in the rocks, and you were like, I could literally easily slice his head off. Didn't do that. Then you have him at the in A New Hope, and you're literally fighting him, and you see Luke, and you're like, well, maybe I'll let him kill him so Luke can escape. But I'm like, why would just literally, keep fighting him? I understand you're more weaker now; he's more powerful, but still, you could literally probably best him after like an hour. And just literally, I mean, he's a robot. He's essentially a guy in a robotic suit. You could damage his suit up. I do think that was some issues I had with this. It's like, literally, I agree with her assessment. It's like, Obi-Wan's really shitty at finishing this job. Like, every time Darth Vader kills somebody, it's essentially Obi-Wan's fault because he is bad at finishing the job. He should have. I understand, originally, Obi-Wan's meant to die in A New Hope, so obviously, continuity-wise, George Lucas, when he wrote Revenge of the Sith, he couldn't have him kill him. And then, of course, when you're doing this, you're setting it between 3 and 4, so obviously, Obi-Wan, from a story writing standpoint, cannot kill him either, because then it'd break continuity, because obviously Vader is in Episode 4. There are things I really like about the show. I really like, the Inquisitors. I think, having Rupert Fiend play the Grand Inquisitor, who was seen in Rebels, he is fantastic as the Inquisitor. I like him as the Grand Inquisitor. I kind of do wish his head was longer. I wish it looked more like but I understand there's different types of his species. I think it's from Upatar, what is it called? Where he's from. Like, I understand there's different looks of him, so basically it's just a different version of him. Like, but I wish kind of wish his head was more narrower, like in the animated series. But I understand the anime series takes liberties of how people look, and obviously he wasn't. This was the first time you see him was in the Rebels. But I understand the live action, you gotta kind of take certain liberties. You can't just make him look like that. I mean, if you look at Count Dooku, his face should be like this compared to how Clone Wars looks. So, which we all know Christopher Lee's face does not look like that. So, you gotta take certain liberties, and sometimes, and also it's from a likeness standpoint as well, because if you're doing someone's likeness, if they would have did 100% what Christopher Lee looked like, then they probably have to be some kind of his agency, like, look, you have to pay a license fee or something like that, or a likeness fee. Then again, Disney could say, well, we're not necessarily basing it on Count Dooku, we're basically basing it on not Christopher Lee, but Count Dooku itself. So essentially, I mean, it's almost like you're doing a mockery of these characters, not mockery, a mock-up of the design. Like, you're like, okay, look, that's Hayden Christensen, but we're going to alter him a little bit. We're going to make him look like the character, but we're going to also make our own spin, so that way we don't have to pay Hayden Christensen a likeness fee. Just like, like with live action, it's the opposite. If you create it from animated and then you work them in live action, it's completely different, because you don't have to pay nobody a license fee, because they're an animated character that is being interpreted. And I think that's smart. I mean, really, that's pretty smart assessment, really. I do like the Inquisitors, though. I think all the Inquisitors are cool. I liked, even Reva. I know Reva, some people have issues with her character. I like her character. I understand. Like, I think the biggest complaint people have had is because she's the villain of the show, and that, Darth Vader's not. Even though they've announced this pretty much in all the trailers, and they've even the promotional material and stuff. Reva is the villain of the story. Just like if you watch Rogue One, Orson Krennic is the villain of that movie, okay? I mean, it's like, it'd be like somebody expecting Grand Moff Tarkin to be the villain in Rogue One, when in reality, it's Orson Krennic. I mean, that's the thing. Like, in all the trailers, Vader hasn't even really showed up in the trailers. Yeah, I understand they announced him second, but, I think that was just trying to lock them actors in. That wasn't really necessarily making, Reva was, the villain of the show. Reva's the villain of the show, and I know some people have issues with that, and some people actually have issues that, they're like, oh, it's woke now, when I don't think it's woke. I mean, it's just it's Star Wars, bro. I mean, really, it's not even that. I understand people are like, well, I hate this character and everything. Like, well, how do, the only thing I had an issue with is she had the perfect death, and then they kind of ruined it, because, I really liked, how at the end, Darth Vader, you see him about to kill her, and then you see how when she was a little girl, Anakin Skywalker stabbed her. And I'll forgive that Anakin Skywalker stabbed her and she survived that. I'll forgive that. But I'm like, Darth Vader's about to kill her for the second time, and this time as Vader. I'm like, and you see her as a child, and you see her, and you see him kill her twice, and you see her stab her, and then she just dies. That would have been perfect. But instead, she gets back up. I'm like, how? Qui-Gon Jinn gets stabbed with a lightsaber once and got killed. It's like, it seems like now in Star Wars, if you get stabbed by a lightsaber, yeah, that's fine. But when Liam Neeson did it, oh, he just died. I'm like, come on, really? I mean, seriously, it's, I understand the spam of reality, but come on. I also like seeing the Hermit Obi-Wan. The Hermit Obi-Wan was really cool. I like that. I thought it was great. I liked his outfit. When I've been playing Jedi Survivor, I've been playing as the Hermit Obi-Wan look, because I just really like that look. I also liked Hayden Christensen back as Vader, especially him as Vader. And I understand he wasn't always in the suit; it was stunt doubles and everything like that. But then when he was in the suit, it was really mostly at the end with the fight scene between him and Obi-Wan. But I really enjoyed seeing him as Vader in a way. Like, seeing Darth Vader was awesome in the scene, especially in all the scenes, especially hearing James Earl Jones' voice again. That was just fantastic. The dialogue in Episode 3 between Leia and Obi-Wan, I really like that. I like Joy saying a young Leia. I wasn't expecting it. I know they kept it really hidden in marketing and stuff, and it was just a joy to see her and her little robot that was with her, little pet robot that almost reminded me of the robot from Flubber, Rebo. And so I just imagined that seeing her, she was so adorable. He asking about her mother in Episode 3, and just I thought that was so great. He was just like describing her, how he reminded of her. And then you see the stormtroopers get on there, and then he's just trying to be quiet because it's really scary. And then of course the whole conflicts happen, and then it's really great seeing Vader just walk up in there and kill people left and right, just going killing people, and then until he feels Obi-Wan's presence, and then he has that, and then Obi-Wan just doesn't want to fight him. He beats the shit out of him, and essentially drags him through fire, and he's like, "You should have killed me. I am what you made me." And I'm just like, oh, this is so epic. And I know some people have issue they shot the fire, like, why didn't he walk through fire or something? And I could see he's afraid of fire, and like I understand that's why he was dragging him through fire. I could see like Vader has a sense of fear of fire, and so that's why I'm not gonna walk through that. I burned through that, And he literally just set the fire, and so basically like he's like, look, I'm good, And I also like Obi-Wan. I also like the Reva trying to fight in episode, I like them trying to escape and see what all they did to all the Jedi, where they basically made them, they Jurassic Park them, where they're made in that porcelain. I think that was really clever too. And I also liked, I thought it was kind of stupid that they were trying to sneak away in that little coat. And then, I thought Reva seen that, and then I was like, that's so stupid. And then, of course, I really enjoy how Vader picked her up. It's like, you betrayed me. And then, she's like, I didn't. And then he was, just choking her. And then eventually they said, we got the ping on the droid, and then they just went into and then they followed them, and then of course they had the epic thing while she's walking all the stormtroopers. They're just, and then just how the big fight shootout and everything, and then of course how Obi-Wan gets away. Vader drops the ship, and then also he's remembering the fight scene between Anakin and Obi-Wan from Attack of the Clones, which is really a newer fight scene that they shot. I thought that was really great, and it kind of parallels to the episode itself. And then Reva tries to kill Vader, and Vader's just like, bitch, not even worth my time. And then basically, he just takes her lightsaber, and then he's just not even doing it like a one-handed thing. And then he literally then does that epic kill, but she doesn't die, obviously. But he does, and then you find out that she didn't really kill the Grand Inquisitor. In episode 1 and 2, I kind of discussed that. I did enjoy those episodes. But, I did have issue with episode 2. Episode 1 was much better. But episode 3, I think, onward is really well done. And I really think 5 is just chef's kiss. And then as he takes the button away and make her Grand Inquisitor, which was a funny joke I saw in Lane with the Practical Jokers. And you see the Grand Inquisitor, and them are just now tell her she's the Grand Inquisitor. Rise, Grand Inquisitor. And they're you actually think she's the Grand Inquisitor? And, I thought that was funny. Because, she really did. And it was just all they were punking her. And so then, of course, episode 6, she seeks revenge on Obi-Wan. And then Vader and Obi-Wan have this epic fight. And then you see him just trying to rise up, remember everything he's learned. And then he rises up, and he picks up those rocks and just slings and beats the shit out of Vader, where he's just stabbing his machine. And then he cuts his face helmet off. And you just see Anakin, just how epic that scene was, where he's like, Anakin is gone. Or what remains. And then how it just blew, and you hear it's Hayden Christensen's voice, and he's like, "You did not kill Anakin Skywalker. I did." And then you just see Vader smile, like, you know, the lightsaber, it's like smiling like he's just an insane person. And then say, "Well, I'll destroy you," and he just keeps jumping back from his voice to James Earl Jones. And he goes, "My friend is dead. Bye, Darth." I thought that was basically bye, Darth. And like, "Obi-Wan, face me, Obi-Wan." I thought that was just so incredible. And I do like how it jumps back and forth, because I know some people are like, "Why does it keep jumping back and forth from a fight scene?" Because we want to see the fight scene between Vader and Obi-Wan. We don't want to see Reva chasing after Luke, because there has to be some kind of fight scene and conflict. There's two different. Say, if you ever watched any Star Wars movie, in every movie, there's always a lightsaber fight scene, with the exception of Episode 4. There's always a lightsaber fight scene, and there's always a conflict that's happening as well. So, for instance, also in Rise of Skywalker, that also. But as for like Last Jedi, you have a conflict happening. Force Awakens have a conflict happening. 1 through 6, you have a conflict happening, except for, of course, Episode 4 and 9. You have really all conflict happening. And there's always a lightsaber fight, and that was the conflict. Obviously, I kind of wish they would have did something else, because I feel like Reva's death was great, but it feels like they needed that episode. It feels almost like, it really feels like, that there was, like, that, they were trying to give Reva her own Disney Plus series, and so they had to keep her alive for that. And also, Luke is just there for fan service. Like, he serves no purpose to the story whatsoever. Like, he's just there. And so I'm sitting there watching this, and I'm like, if Reva died, they could have had them, like, Ice Cube's son, who's like, trying to help the, force sensitive kids get away from the Empire, because they're chasing after him at the beginning of the episode, and then he's like, "Sir, they're getting away. We should focus on that, and not Obi-Wan Kenobi." But instead, Obi-Wan's like, "I'm going after Obi-Wan." He's like, "As you wish," even though it's like, that's stupid. I think they should have focused on, you go after them. I'm going to go after Obi-Wan. That could have been this, and then they could have got away, fixed the hyperdrive, and escaped. That could have been cool. But instead, it felt like Reva after Luke, and we all know he was not going to die, because obviously that'd break canon. And so, we had that, and I kind of wish we did not have that. I did enjoy, though, that she redeems herself at the end, because she sees that she's about to kill Luke, that she actually is becoming what Vader is. She was just she wanted to take Vader's child away, but really she's just becoming Vader herself until she just gives up. I kind of imagine she died right there, redeeming herself. But at the same time, I can understand that, she might be alive and give her own Disney Plus show. But that's fine. I'll see where it goes. Maybe she's hunting Vader, Who knows? Also, I'm always down for more Vader. I think Liam Neeson's cameo at the end, where he earned to see his master, I thought that worked well. And I also really liked how, the Emperor cameo at the end, where he's like, the only thing I really did not like was they didn't have really, it felt like they could not get John Williams' score, which I know that's not true, because John Williams provided the score, for Obi-Wan. So I just feel like, why aren't they using his themes? Like, I guess, you would think they could afford it, because it's Star Wars, but instead they don't. I guess they try to do something original every now and then, so I guess that's probably why. But I really enjoyed this show. If I had to give the show a grade, I would give it an A-. Thank you so much.